Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
How you feeling, bro?
Why is it spicy?
Why is it spicy?
I feel it.
3 shots.
Again.
For?
The Bengals. 9.5 points is what I needed. There's 12 seconds left in the game. They're up by 11. And Jacksonville kicks a fucking field goal and makes it 8 points and then goes for the onside kick with 7 seconds left. What is this? This is 2 weeks in a row of bad beats by Jeff Driscoll and Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know what we're doing this week, but I'm definitely going to hedge it a little bit better than this.
So for new listeners, new watchers on the YouTube channel or podcast, we really appreciate you watching. Check us out on pretty much any podcast app that you listen to. We're always here on YouTube. A lot of great content other than just the podcast on YouTube, so check all that out. But what we've started doing this season, and this is kind of a new thing, but I really enjoy it because it kind of loosens up the show a little bit, makes it fun. In the beginning, well, when we first started the show, it was all about, we want to be like, just two guys talking in a bar kind of style of a podcast, right? And we got away from that a little bit, but this bet system that we do where we do 3 shot bet on something in the NFL or college each week, and one person has to do 3 and the other person has to do 1.
And typically it is a bet that is not in the common eye.
We try and go out of the way. It's been
Robbie Anderson, Jeff Driscoll, and the Bengals winning by 9 points.
So we missed week 2, but we've had 3 bets so far. I am 2-1 against him. We are going to start doing this every week, so we will find a bet. We like it to come up naturally. So stick along with that. I would love for people to start doing shots with us at home. That would be really cool. All right, guys. So we have a great show for you guys today. We are going to be talking about all the things going on in NFL and college. We will break down some of our favorite Bovada Sportsbook best bets that we like, and we're going to finish it off with our picks at the end of the show. We've been doing really good on our picks. I think we're 10-4 on our locks of the week, which is really, look, the NFL's hard. The NFL is really hard to predict, and it's so random each week. So when we hit, we do pretty good on our regular bets, but against the spread is really tough. So we're just a little bit above even on that. But what we really hang our hat on is the locks of the week, right? And what we do is we both have it, and then if we both agree on the bet, we bet it, and we bet alongside with you. We bet on our locks. We're
actually betting on this.
Yeah. So that's a good one. We use Bovada Sportsbook, but you can really use whatever. It doesn't really matter. But it's last week. Honestly, I didn't even bet on the 49ers only because of the quarterback thing and the COVID scare for the 49ers Eagles game. That the bet wasn't there when I made my bets for the week. So I got really lucky because we missed on the 49ers, but we hit on the other two last week.
I took the Colts. So that one worked. I put $15 on the Colts, and I'm starting to do a $15 parlay on all of our locks. That's a lot of fun. And this week I just got lucky because I did a parlay on our 2 bets because the 49ers one, like I said, wasn't available. So I ended up winning because we got the first 2. But all right, let's get started. We kind of mentioned COVID. I think that's where we have to go first, right? Yeah, it is. It's been a really weird week with COVID, and we're seeing kind of the aftermath of the Titans game getting canceled, the Vikings actually having some positive news and being able to play their game as is. Good news for the Titans going forward, though, is they are on their 2nd day of no positive tests in a row. Yeah. So hopefully their facilities have been opened, and they're going to be able to go forward with this game, and we're just going to see how it goes. Yeah, man. I mean, it's awesome. So we'll talk about Titans because we talked about that a little bit last week. Yeah. And we didn't really know what was going to happen with it. We ended up the Texans game was fine, but the Titans, they had a lot of late injuries. It got worse. It got a lot worse. Right now, as we're recording this, we record this on a Tuesday. There are no positive tests, and they are ready to open their facilities on Wednesday. So by the time this is coming out and you're watching this, hopefully they've already opened their doors and they're ready to go, and they're playing the Bills next week. That is the expectation. So it was kind of weird, and I didn't really realize that that this would happen. I kind of was under the impression that players would just basically get sent away to wherever they go when they get COVID, and the team would still move forward, and it would be kind of a weird thing. That's going to happen, but when there was an outbreak with the Titans the way it was one of those things where it's like they kind of had to shut down and just have everyone self-isolate before anybody could really move forward. Well, I think they did it the right way.
I think so, too.
This is something that could potentially ruin something that we love so much in this football season. Yep. So handle it swiftly
get rid of it quick, and hopefully you can go forward now knowing that we've had the mini outbreak. They can do better preventing it from the whole grand scheme of things. So I have heard some rumors about the Titans being punished, though, because it was a lack of discipline on their part behind COVID. There's a chance that they may take a draft pick away from them.
Really?
That'd be really unfortunate.
See, that is unfortunate. I would think that, if something like this happens, why not just give them an automatic L? Like, what, instead of taking away a draft pick, which I know that sucks, almost the L might be worse in the coach's eyes for sure, especially for a team like the Titans. Well, they're 3-0. They're probably not hurting as bad. But, last week, the Steelers and Titans basically didn't play last week because of this. So give the Steelers a win and the Titans an L, give them no stats, and just move on.
Well, I mean...
I know you can't really force...
Well, I think you kind of have to do that at a certain point, though, because what if... So, theoretically, what if this goes on for 2 more weeks for the Titans?
Yeah.
You can't give them 2 more buys. You can't limit them to a 14-game or 13-game schedule, can you?
Yeah.
You would have to give them the L and give their opponent the dub just because...
Because you're screwing over the opponent. The Steelers didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
I mean, now they're out of game, which apparently is going to be played a different week. I don't know how they're going to do that. Their buys did not line up.
Yeah, so they're going to have to figure something out down the road.
It's a weird one, man. And the other thing is, we kind of saw both sides of it. We saw the Titans basically having to shut down their week and no game, and we also saw Cam Newton, which last week when we were talking about this, there was no there was no Cam Newton news, and this hit after we posted. Cam Newton got COVID. The rest of the team didn't. The rest of the team was fine. The Patriots ended up taking 2 different planes to Kansas City to play their game. They did the players that were near Cam Newton and the players that weren't, just to make sure that any of the players that weren't were not going to be able to play the game if they got COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
But they were also segregated from the rest of the team to ensure that they could still play a football game.
They are going next level with the measurements.
And the other part, which I kind of buried the lead, they moved the game from Sunday to Monday, which was kind of a huge deal. It's a lot of fun for me. I really liked having a doubleheader on Monday night. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, more football is just good football.
Exactly. And it's I have 2 TVs that I watch football on. So for the little bit of time where the Patriots were in the fourth quarter and then I think the Packers and Falcons played next, they were in the first quarter, I could watch them both, which was awesome. But it destroyed the Patriots. I would argue that game would have been a lot more competitive if the Patriots, not even if Cam Newton was there, because that's obvious, right?
Argue, yeah.
I'm saying, of course, maybe not, but it definitely would have been competitive. But the Patriots would have been better prepared if even if Cam Newton wasn't there, if they had an adequate amount of time, that game still would have been competitive.
Well, yeah, it was competitive even with Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham out there going and just sucking it up. I mean, Brian Hoyer, whatever is in a human that lets you sense pressure, he doesn't have it. Okay, he doesn't have it. He sat in the pocket with a guy, and I don't know why I was rooting for the Patriots, but I was screaming at the TV bro, there's a guy right behind you. There's a guy right behind you. Throw the ball. And he consistently got strip sacked over and over, and then he threw it was horrible, man. I don't know how you're a veteran like that, and then you have the mishap you did before halftime. He
started for 7 different teams, and he still can't sense pressure. That was weird.
And think about the mishap before halftime. The only thing you can't do is take a sack.
And he had plenty of time to throw it away, by the way. Plenty of time.
He literally tries to back turn to the left and go off his... It's just different, man.
Yeah, it was weird.
Cam Newton in that spot, I know we'll talk about the game more, I bet, later in the pod, but Cam Newton in that spot, man, really hurt the Patriots because Bill Belichick had a game plan to minimalize what the Chiefs had on offense. And it worked up until 3 quarters.
Yeah, minimalize. I like that. That was good. Minimalize.
I said it right.
Minimize.
Minimalize. That's a word.
Is that a real word?
Yeah, it's a word.
Okay, maybe I'm an idiot.
Yeah, check it.
I'll take it. I'm going to look that up in a second.
Yeah, they got my back.
If it's a word, then I will take a shot for that.
No, I called you out. It's a word.
All right. So the only other thing I do want to say about that game is the Chiefs are playing different. I know I'm kind of sidetracked. The Chiefs are kind of playing through their defense a little bit more over the past 2 weeks, I feel like.
Yeah, their
defense is good. We can say that, right?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that because the Chiefs Ravens happened after the Chargers Chiefs, if this would have been a 2 week in a row of Chiefs Chargers, Chiefs Patriots,
yeah,
I would be doubting that offense a little bit. But we've seen off week. Well, their offense was hitting during the Ravens game.
It was, but their defense was too. They kept the Ravens in check. I mean,
they did.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. It's just interesting to see like the Chiefs
it's
have a
good
legitimate
coaching.
defense
From the top to bottom. I think the way that they run their team,
best team in the NFL,
gonna,
right?
Yes, they're going to be back.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
It takes a bad day for another team to have a chance to win.
Yeah,
because even on a bad day, a mediocre team won't win.
I mean, I absolutely agree, and he's shown
it's
it.
Scary.
And Patrick Mahomes is obviously the great equalizer. I'm actually looking on Bovada right now just to see what the odds are of winning the Super Bowl right now, because obviously those are my mic is I think is messing up. So Super Bowl winner plus 325 if you bet on the Chiefs right now to win the Super Bowl. That's not bad. So you bet $10, you win $32.
Yeah, and I mean, I would take it. I really would.
Yeah, that's.
I would take $20, whatever amount you want. 20 for me. I would put 20 on Kansas City, 20 on Seattle.
Because I was just about to say
those are my two favorites right now. When you look at how they are playing.
Seattle is basically 7-1, so plus 700. So I mean, that's not bad too. I think that is the Super Bowl as we're looking at it. So I mean, I absolutely agree. Is there anything else to say about COVID? I mean, we've seen how it affects two different teams in two very different ways.
No, because right now there's no team really going through anything right now.
Yeah, I mean,
fantasy wise, I would just say
let's talk about that. Yeah,
watch your lineups a lot. I know there's a lot of different things and arguments going around behind what commissioners should do in order to, what's the word? Keep it as level of a playing field as you can for certain guys. And for me, I'm a commissioner in a league, and I know you're a commissioner in a league too.
Yeah.
For me, the way that I approach it is, listen, this is a year that we all knew was going to be different. We all are going to get a different version of football, and we knew that's what was going to happen. So, there's been a suggestion if you run a different lineup or if you modify it by plugging bench players in.
Yeah.
I just run it. I think it's a thing where if you have depth and it's something that you watch, it's just something that you have to be ready to plug and play.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. Look, I'm in a league where like some of the people I don't really know that well, so it's not like I'm on like a first name basis or a text league or anything. Or the one that I'm a commissioner of, I'm just letting it run. Like if you're gambling like this scenario, we weren't sure coming into really even Friday if Friday mornings is when I think it was kind of confirmed that the Patriots Chiefs were going to play on Monday night. But before then, we really didn't know. And it's kind of weird. I mean, the week 4 had already started. Thursday night games had already played. And we still didn't really know if the Patriots and Chiefs were going to happen or not and when it was going to happen. So if we're in a situation like that where, okay, they move it to Monday or Tuesday night. That's what they're saying, Monday or Tuesday night. Well, say Sunday afternoon, we find out that there's another COVID hit and the morning games are already played.
Have fun. You have no players.
You're in a bad spot, especially if it's two teams that play. Obviously, if it's the Jets, Broncos, there's not too many players that you're really worried about. But I mean, Patriots,
shit on them.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But Patriots, Chiefs, there's a lot of players that you're really thinking about that you were probably going to start. Just imagine if it was like a Ravens Chiefs kind of game where there's so many players that you're going to start in those teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm of the mindset it's your fantasy football. It's random. You're getting lucky every single week. I mean, how many times have you lost to a kicker?
With performance, luck hits with injuries, luck hits with all of this.
The ball bounces in a different way. So COVID, we knew coming into this fantasy season and this football season, that was an extra element. You knew when you drafted that you needed to draft for depth. And, if you don't have depth and you're kind of relying on a certain player to play well to win, and that team might be affected with COVID, that's just bad luck. You're going to lose. It's going to suck even more when we get into week 10, 11, 12, when these games matter a little bit more. At least we know, how many wins we need to get to the playoffs and stuff like that. But I mean, at this point, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you just have to live.
I understand the other side to it too, is to wanting a solution for something that is out of your control. I get that completely.
Yeah.
I think the main thing, whether your league does or doesn't suffice for that issue, is consistency. You got to either stick with it and ride it out, or you either got to have that in place, and whatever rules you have in place is something you just got to stick with for the rest of the year. So
I absolutely agree with you.
And by the way, tell them about the word.
Yeah, minimalize is a word.
You didn't know that was a word.
I knew it was a word. I thought you were saying minimize, and I thought you were
minimalize.
Okay, so
I do
so
talk
right.
fast.
So that is a word. You're absolutely right. Yeah. I thought you were trying to say minimize.
No,
and you just mispronounced the word minimize, and I was stuck on that. So I was kind of trying to call you out. And And look, it blew up in my face. Here we are. It happens. I will take a shot. It is what it is.
We'll add it on to your next pod total after 3 because I win the bet this week.
Yeah, that sounds fine. All right, we got to come up with a bet. Let's move on, man. Just the best possible news for this pod, right?
Oh, really? It really is.
Like, just absolutely, we are so excited. Bill O'Brien is fired, guys. Bill O'Brien, he is out. The worst head coach, the worst GM. Yeah, we're still cheering.
I was about to say, name all the titles behind it. Yeah.
The worst trade negotiator of all time in the NFL. He's out. He is done making Deshaun Watson's life harder. He is done making the Texans a worse football team when they're supposed to be in win now mode. He's gone.
You know the one thing he's not done doing, though?
What's he not done doing?
Making the next GM's life a living fucking hell. Bill O'Brien made sure that he took a hot steaming shit on whoever comes in next and is like, okay, guys, nice to meet you. You're the Texans. I'm so-and-so.
Yeah.
Wow, we don't have a first or second round pick, but we're 0-4.
Wow. Right now, we're scheduled to have the second pick in the draft if the season ended
but
right now. But it goes to
the Dolphins?
So it goes to the Dolphins? Man, well, at least we get the second pick, right? And it's still in the 30s. Oh, no, still goes to the Dolphins. What did we trade that for? Oh, our third or fourth string wide receiver, depending on if Will Fuller's playing, and a left tackle who is now the highest paid left tackle in the NFL.
It goes to show
pretty fucking great deal for the Dolphins.
The highest paid roster, and they're 0-4.
Listen, look, here's the thing, and I hate to toot our own horn, but we're going to at times when we're right.
This is it, bro.
We'll talk about when we're wrong just as much as we'll talk about when we're right. But what did we say all off season? Like, we kept bringing up, they're paying the most money to their wide receiver position, or second most money to the wide receiver position, even though they traded the best wide receiver in the NFL, or at least top 3. I mean, arguably top 2.
That's bare minimum. Yes,
yeah.
3.
So that doesn't really make any sense. Why are you paying Will Fuller, who only plays 5 games a year, $11 million? That doesn't make sense. You're playing Kenny Still as your third or fourth string wide receiver, $7 million this year. That doesn't really make sense. What the fuck are you doing? Oh, yeah, let's pay our running back position, a washed-up running back who hasn't been good in 3 years. Oh, yeah, we're going to pay the 5th most money to our running back position because not only is David Johnson an incredibly high dollar running back that you traded for, you also traded for Duke Johnson, who at one time was the second highest paid running back before all these other big names got paid. So, yeah, you're kind of overpaying all your fucking players, and you're no better because of it. You have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Look, people are going to talk about, and I'd love to hear your take because I really don't know. We didn't talk about this before. The weird timing of this, the fact that they played a brutal week 1 schedule, or first September schedule, whatever you want to call it. The first 4 weeks of their season was absolutely brutal. I mean, start off with the Chiefs, then go play the Ravens, then go play the Steelers. That's just ridiculous.
And then finish it with the Vikings.
And then you play the Vikings that, yes, they were 0-3 when you played them. They were a good 0-3 team. That was a battle of the best 2 0-3 teams, I would argue. So it's not like you were playing just scrubs for the Vikings. Oh, and the Vikings had kind of already started getting it going against the Titans a week earlier. So yeah, I get that, and it is weird timing. I didn't expect him to get fired this week. I definitely didn't expect Bill O'Brien to be the first coach fired ahead of Gase and the dude for the Falcons. Like, those were much worse coaches, or were in much worse situations. But man, it is a long time coming. You should have done it 2 years ago. You should have gotten somebody else in here that could manage a roster. At the very least, take him out of the GM decision making. Like that at the very fucking least. I'd love to hear your thoughts on. I know I went on.
No. I mean, you killed it, man. I think at the bare minimum, as an owner, you have to have another GM in place. Like, keep Bill O'Brien as the head coach. Have a GM to keep him in check.
Yeah.
Have him sit down and say, now, wait a sec. You want to trade DeAndre Hopkins for a running back who hasn't really performed?
Why?
In a year and a half.
It's
one of the second-round pick.
It's one of those situations where it's like, are you trading him because you're mad at him, or are you trading him because he wants too much money? Because either way, that's a bad idea.
Well, it just doesn't make sense all around. And props to the owner, honestly, because I know it really shakes up this season and the rest of the season. But he has shown it in his history as to waiting till the end of the season before you fire your coach and move on to the next guy.
Yeah.
So he did a great job here by just going ahead and getting rid of him. And then you can go ahead and see what happens for the rest of the year. You still have – it's a talented roster.
It's not. It's a talented quarterback.
You said it's not.
It's a talented quarterback.
Listen, it's not an 0-4 roster.
I mean, take away the quarterback, it absolutely is.
It's not an 0-4 roster.
Jacob.
You argued in the offseason that this is a team that could compete.
Yeah, because of Deshaun Watson.
Okay. Let's give them that.
But also, in the offseason is different than 4 weeks into the year. What is their defensive weapon?
Their defensive weapon is J.J. Watt.
Okay, so an aging J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless, maybe.
Listen, J.J.'s been playing well. I'm not going to argue on their defense. Their defense
sucks.
I'm not going to be a Texans advocate here.
I'm not asking you to. I'm saying we can go down the list.
You're killing me.
I'm simply saying that if you take away the quarterback, right? Take away Deshaun Watson.
They're dog shit.
And you compare position to position against some of the worst teams in the NFL. Like, we can go right down the 0-4s. They're not really competing with a lot of them. They're on the same level.
No, they are. That's where. But Deshaun is a factor. Deshaun is on that team.
Okay, so let's do this because they play Jaguars right
yes.
next week, which some would say is going to be a get right game for the Texans.
I almost picked the Jags.
I almost did too. I picked the Texans to win this, but take away the quarterback position and you go offensive line to offensive line. Kind of a wash. They're pretty close, right? Jags offense,
Jags have a lot of picks invested in that.
Exactly. So the Texans, but I mean, Texans offense line isn't good by any means. Wide receiver to wide receiver, I would argue DJ Shark's better than any other wide receiver on the Texans. But if you want to go wide receiver core versus wide receiver core, you maybe give it to the Texans.
I'd take Jacksonville, but
honestly, I think it's an argument. I think it's truly an argument.
I really like the way Laviska's being used. I like Keelan Cole a lot.
Keelan Cole as well.
DJ Shark.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. So good. Let's give it to Jacksonville. I 100% agree. You give I think the tight end position you probably give to the Texans, but they don't really utilize their tight end that much. But Akins is a good tight end.
You can wash it.
Yeah, wash it. Sure.
Jags have Tyler Eifert. I mean.
Yeah, exactly, and O'Shaughnessy, I think, or something like that, but he got hurt. So then you go to running back position on offense. Texans. Not even close. Oh, you think it's the tech? You think it's DJ? Oh man, Robinson's been killing it, man.
No, James Robinson has been killing it. He's been getting a heavy workload, and I like him a lot because I was fortunate enough. I actually drafted him in a league, and it hit.
In a deep league. You got him like 20, like round 20 or something. You're starting
I took him
him
at the
every
very
week.
last, and I was like, man, I'll take a flyer on him and see if it hits. It was a great hit. I do think David Johnson is talented enough, though, to where he is a better running back pound for pound than James Robinson.
So we disagree with that, but fine, we'll give that to you. And then you go defense. Jacksonville has better corners.
Jacksonville has all the talent on that.
Yeah, Jacksonville has better corners. They have a better defensive line. And granted, it's close. You could say on defense line. I'm not saying Jacksonville's defense line is good, but compared to the Texans, it is. I would say the Texans probably have they don't have better linebackers because Jacksonville has one of the best linebackers in the league. And
you really like Miles Jack.
Miles Jack is one of the best.
I think the Texans have a better D line. They took the kid out of Texas A&M as their draft.
You're right. Yeah,
they have J.J. Watt going right there. I mean, listen. I know
you're right. No, you're
like
right. I'll give the Texans D line, but at the very least, we can say it's close, right?
Pretty much, your whole argument is that we are arguing over two really bad teams.
That is exactly my whole point.
I get it. The Texans are a bad team, and going forward, we're going to have to look at who is going to pick up this vacancy.
Yeah. So let's go there because I have a couple. My first thought, my only thought were two names, right? And then I'll let you go because you had some really good ones, right? First name was Josh McDaniels, right? Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for the Patriots. People will remember he was the OC he was the head coach for Denver for a couple of years. Didn't work out. That was the Tim Tebow era, that whole thing. Then he goes back to the Patriots. He took a job with the Colts. Declines it, ends up going back, which I mean, I think based on the way that ended up working out with Andrew Luck retiring, it's probably the right move. But he's kind of been biding his time. He is a slam dunk if you can get him. Depends on you if you can get him. But with the Texans, he knows that he has Deshaun Watson, and you can build from there.
That's all you need.
It's a lot easier to build a franchise around a star quarterback than it is around not a star quarterback. So you feel pretty good about that. I mean, you talk about 10 years or 5 years from now, I think I'd rather be a Texans fan than a Colts fan based on the quarterback alone. I know Deshaun Watson's going to be good for a long time. And then the other one is the guy who, if you've watched the Chief games this year, you've seen him and you've seen announcers say, how has he not gotten a job yet? It is absolutely a crime that Eric Bieniemy has not gotten a job. I'm not going to go into the race thing. That's a whole other thing. People will argue that it's because he's black. Who knows? But he is an absolutely awesome offensive coordinator. Yes, he has Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he has those weapons. But he is just another guy from the Eric or from the Andy Reid tree, and we've seen so many hit. A couple haven't, but we've seen so many hit, and Eric Bieniemy just seems like the next guy up. He's going to get a job. I think he would flourish in Houston. Those are my two.
Yeah, Bieniemy is one of my two. I would argue because he is such a good builder of culture.
Yeah.
And that's something that is so important to a locker room that I think gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that in college, when you look at a college level, culture's everything.
Yeah.
Having these kids in the right mentality, but these in the NFL, these are grown men.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't buy into the culture. They're like, "Oh, I'm not doing that. I just get paid and show up and do my job."
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a job. But Bieniemy is a genius at building this. I don't want him to get this job though, because they are in cap hell and he has no capital other than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So I think he is such a good offensive coordinator. And
you want him to get a better spot.
A potential great head coach. I don't know if he can flourish here. I don't know if anyone could. That's their argument.
I think so. So I would argue, we'll actually get into this a little bit later. But if you look at let's go through coaches, and then I want to circle back to the best possible jobs for upcoming head coaches.
Yeah.
But who's your next one?
So
I like this option.
The absolute dark horse, and there's two technically that you could hint at, but it's because I'm plugged into Deshaun Watson in the college feed right there. It's Dabo Swinney. And Dabo Swinney is one of the guys who brought Deshaun in, along with my number two option is Chad Morris, who is the offensive coordinator at Auburn. That is if everything else goes wrong at the Texans and they say, we want a guy who knows Deshaun and was able to build Deshaun, which was Chad Morris.
Yeah.
Dabo Swinney is a guy who I don't know if he would work at the NFL level because I love him so much at college. He has built what Alabama used to be, or still is in the SEC, over in the ACC. I mean, they're a mountain that will never be moved until he moves.
Yeah.
So he could take his talents to the NFL and see if he wants to try it. He has Deshaun. Yeah. He has the tools. This is something that if you were to bet on, because lines will be drawn. I mean, eventually we're going to see Bovada come out with some type of list.
Yeah.
Dabo is going to be on there.
I'm going to look and see if that's up there yet.
I doubt that it is, but Dabo is going to be on there eventually, and he's going to be at the bottom just because of Deshaun. And it's something that I'm willing to throw $5 on because you never know. You never know when Dabo's going to make the move. He has no reason to leave where he's at right now. He's getting all the money in the world, all the recognition, everything that is lined up for him is perfect at Clemson. But there's a chance. And the other one being Chad Morris is because he is the guy who got Deshaun, who refined Deshaun, and sat down with him hours of every day. And they worked so hard. And I hear so many stories about it at Auburn now, how he's trying to do that with Bo at Auburn, on how they're grinding just to, to get that stuff back to normal. There's a chance, man. And look, whenever you look up the odds to see the next Texans coach, you just did.
Yeah.
Dabo was on there.
Dabo was on there. That's crazy. I didn't think Dabo would be anywhere near there.
Dabo is going to be a guy mentioned. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't want my name tied to it happening.
All right, so
there's a chance.
So on Bovada Sportsbook, we have plus 300 for Josh McDaniels. We have Eric Bieniemy at plus 350. So those are the two names. Greg Roman's a good one I didn't think of.
I've seen Greg Roman a lot.
For that's the Baltimore Ravens OC who changed, pretty much changed that entire offense. That's at plus 600. That makes sense. Brian Daboll for the Buffalo Bills, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. That makes a whole lot of sense at plus 500. I don't want to see that
because the Bills got something good going.
Yeah, but he's gonna end up moving. This I think would be too early. I think it's too early for Brian Leftwich to get a starting head coach job, but I do think he's gonna be there. Obviously, a lot of people know him as the quarterback, but he is the OC for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at plus 800. He's right there. This is the first name I don't know. Oh, that's the 49ers D coordinator.
DC, yeah.
Robert Saleh. Yeah, Robert Saleh. He's the DC for the 49ers. That's a plus 1,000. He's going to get a head coaching job soon. And then I'm going down the list.
That's where you hit all of the scroll up just a little bit. That's where you see Dabo mentioned. They don't have odds tied to his name yet, but because you look at all the NFL OCs and DCs.
Yeah.
Then you dip into the college level because Lincoln Riley is always going to be a name that is mentioned with NFL jobs until he finally takes an NFL job, which I eventually think it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys if this Mike McCarthy marriage doesn't work out with Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
But Dabo's at the top of the list when you go into college.
Yeah, the other possibility is Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma or Jim Harbaugh from Michigan, plus 2,000, plus 2,500. Interesting names. You're right. Dabo's not on there, but it's kind of surprising that he's not. I mean, it makes sense that he's not.
Dabo got asked about it in a press conference this week.
Yeah,
that's how quick people automatically assume the names are tied together.
I thought you were going to be the only one saying that. I really did. I'm actually really, really surprised to see that you have that there. That's pretty crazy. I mean, that makes it you're really in tune with college, obviously. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, that's crazy. There's some good ones. All right, so I kind of hinted this. Let's talk about so we have McDaniels, who at some point is going to go either take over the Patriots or get a head coaching job. And I think he's just waiting for the right fit where he can be, because he knows he's in a good position. He can take the job he wants. He's going to take the job that has the best possible opportunity.
And he will not take Houston as a result.
That might be the reason. But let's talk about the teams that are probably maybe going to have a new head coach in 2021.
Yeah.
Jets are an obvious one, right?
Yeah, but they already came out and endorsed Adam Gase till the end of the year at least. And listen, I'm not a big advocate of firing your coach midseason because you're pretty much going ahead and shoving it, just throwing it in the fire and saying this ain't happening. But you're the Jets. You kind of know it's not happening right now. I mean, seriously, we saw what happened Thursday night. I thought that was the game that was going to get him fired. I really did. Because if you can't step up and beat a third-string quarterback who looked really good until the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Brett Ripon.
Oh, also you got a pick six and you got another interception in the fourth quarter, early in the third, either one. You no way you lose that game. No fucking way. Your quarterback got hurt for a series, but that was about it. Ridiculous that he still has a job. I think he will get fired midseason at some point. He's absolutely going to be looking for a new job, right?
I like Sam Darnold.
I like Sam Darnold too.
And I like some of the weapons that they have, sorta, kinda. Adam Gase is not the guy.
No,
that's pretty much what that means. I think Adam Gase should be someone who could flourish with Sam Darnold. It should be the coming out party for Sam Darnold. Adam
Gase took a 7-9 football team and made them worse. That's about what Adam Gase did.
At the end of the day, man, Peyton Manning is the guy who got Adam Gase everything that he's had. And
from his time
it's
in
not
Denver.
because of Adam Gase. It's because of Peyton Manning.
And then he goes to the Bears, had a pretty okay offense for like one season, goes to the Dolphins, destroyed the locker room or to the point where the Dolphins had to just blow up everything and start over.
And that's where he's at now.
And then now they're going to the Jets. And the Jets are probably in a similar position.
All because of a Peyton Manning endorsement.
It's crazy. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. All right, so where would you rather be a head coach for, the Jets or the Texans?
Man, that's tough. It's not really, though. The Jets, because you have your picks.
Man, I'll take the Texans all day.
Because of Deshaun.
Because of Deshaun. Look, because if you're a head coach, let's say you're a head coach, you get 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe you might not get all of that third year if you're looking really bad in your third year.
So what are you going to do? The second you sit down at the desk and all the shit settles, the dust settles, what's your move?
The thing is...
it's trade Deshaun.
No, it's not. You're not trading Deshaun.
You don't have draft capital to build a team.
Listen, you're in a bad spot. You're going to have to strip down and start over. But everybody knows that. It's not like nobody's going to be shocked when they basically when they cut all of their high dollar players and start over.
Which then gets you dead cap penalties.
Yeah.
You can't just do that.
I get that, but you still have. I will take the guy that I absolutely know is a franchise quarterback. You agree with that, right?
Yeah.
We have a franchise quarterback,
yes.
Deshaun Watson. You take the team that has a franchise quarterback versus the team that has. I like Sam Darnold. Like you would you rather have the Sam Darnold or the I know I have a franchise quarterback?
I know what Deshaun is. I know what Sam Darnold can be, because he has had flashes to where if Pat Mahomes did the same play that Sam Darnold did, that's getting replayed 50 times over on ESPN. He's had some where he's done naked bootlegs, rolling out to the right, throws it all the way a dime to the left.
Absolutely. He also has bonehead plays.
And then he's had some bonehead plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's where coaching could come in. He has the raw ability to be a good quarterback. I know what Deshaun's up here. Yeah. Sam Darnold's here. But I'll take here in draft picks, bro.
Okay, but here's
I'm different.
Oh,
they have cap too.
That's totally fair. So I disagree with you. That's fine. I would argue. Here's why I think you're wrong. If I'm the Jets and I had the opportunity to trade my first and second round pick for Deshaun Watson right now, today, I would do it.
Because then you would get Deshaun.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be in cap hell. Cap hell is the biggest thing because there are certain guys that you just can't get rid of unless you take that penalty.
Okay.
I think Brandon Cooks, Randall Cobb, they paid Randall Cobb a lot.
They did. A lot of the cap is like Will Fuller is just on a 1-year deal.
Yes. JJ Watt's nearing the end.
JJ Watt's nearing the end. DJ is on his last year of his very, very like after this year, you can cut DJ pretty cheaply.
You're stuck with Tunzel and you're stuck with Deshaun. And at the end of the day, that's a good skeleton to build off of.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
But your picks this year are rough, man.
Okay, so then based on your assessment that you'd rather go to the Jets than the Texans, we're not going to agree on the rest of this, but I'll go through it. The other teams that are probably going to need a head coach, and we can just focus on maybe those teams and stay away from comparing the two options because we just disagree.
You're fine.
All right, so Falcons are the next one, right? 0-4 Falcons.
He should be gone already.
He should have been gone last year. We were screaming for this at the top of our lungs that they needed to be gone, and here we are. He's still there. He's still chugging along on a bad football team. man, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Why is he still there?
A bad football team with an amazing offense, a Kyle Shanahan led offense, and that is what they need. They need an offensive genius in there because Dan Quinn should be gone, man.
Dan Quinn should have been gone last year.
Before they got on the plane after that botched onside kick, whatever you want to call that thing.
Yeah.
And then they just laid an egg against the Packers, which we knew was going to happen.
Yeah. But I mean, it wasn't even competitive. You had your top three, and I know they lost them, but you have your top three wide receivers, right? Russell Gage, Julio Jones, and
I can't believe you named
Ridley.
Russell Gage first.
I know.
Yeah,
you're right. It was just the way it went. It was, you know what it was based on? It was based on targets last night.
And Calvin Ridley fantasy owners are probably pulling their hair out.
Oh yeah, dude, I had a prop bet for Calvin Ridley. I thought he was going to go off. He did not.
How many points did he get?
He laid an egg, bro.
I'm pretty sure it was 0.
Yeah, laid an egg.
But he played.
Yeah, he played the whole game. He got targeted like 5 or 6 times. I believe 3 times in the first drive, and then wasn't targeted again until fourth
Julio's
quarter.
Hamstring acted up around halftime, and he ended up.
Zemeckis or some shit like that. Their wide receiver number 17 got pretty much every single target. Hayden Hurst is not getting the type of targets that what's his face was getting. So I mean, it's just Austin Hooper is what I was looking for. Yeah, they're a bad football team. Their defense is just absolutely terrible. I mean, they can't stop anybody, man. And it's one of those things where it's like they have to be in a shootout every game, which is awesome for fantasy. But then you face an okay defense like the Packers, which I should have realized this. I kind of wish I would have, because I had some props on this being a very high scoring game and stuff like that, and I missed on all of it. Because I really thought, I thought this was just going to be like a 35 to 45 type of game where it would just be high flying type of game.
I did too. It only made sense. I mean, the offense is just too in your face.
The thing that we didn't account for is what is the best part of that defense for the Packers?
Well, it's their defensive line.
I would have said their corners.
Do you like their corners a lot?
Oh yeah, their corners. I mean, they have 2 of the top 20 corners in the NFL. I would say.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I like their corners a lot. Don't get me wrong.
I'm blanking on their name.
Well, I was looking at Zadarius Smith a lot on the defense.
They have a good defense in general. I'm not shitting on the defense.
The Falcons have a banged up O-line. That's one of the things that kind of
that did not help at all. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I think the Falcons' strength at wide receiver kind of matches up well against.
Yeah. And that's Kevin King and Jair Alexander, both ballers, absolute ballers.
Darnell Savage is a first-round pick that they've invested to, and Adrian Amos is a very, very highly paid.
They have good DBs in general.
They have a great defense, and that's the thing is if coaches match up against coaches, and it got outshined here. The elite coaches, the Chiefs, the Patriots, Seattle, we have seen it time and time again. The Saints, there's so many that they are going to outshine these other teams where they have good talent on the field, but the coaches aren't going to do it. And Dan Quinn, I think you were a good X's and O's coach on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, I think it's time for you to go somewhere else, though.
Man, I think he might be. I think it's one of those things where he knows. I think
he's good on that level.
He knows a system, but he doesn't. Right now, he doesn't have the players to match up in the system that he knows. And the system that he knows is everyone knows it. You got to add more. You have to have more than just like the basic Seattle Seahawks. Like you look at the Seahawks defense right now. They're running their base defense is still that Seattle, cover 3 press bail type of scheme, but they're adding so much else onto that. The same with the 49ers. They're adding so much extra stuff to where half of the game it doesn't look like the base Seattle scheme. I mean, the Falcons, they just line up in the base Seattle scheme every single week, every single play, it seems like, and they just get eaten alive. It's
Dan
crazy.
Quinn's
ridiculous.
a good coach. I don't know.
He's a good X's and O coach. Yeah, he's not.
He's going to go somewhere else, and defensive coordinator wise, he'll be able to do great things. I think. I mean, he's good. He has a lot of input that he can do with the talent that's there.
I wonder.
But he doesn't have the talent.
I wonder if his time is kind of gone as far as even being a good defensive. Like if the NFL's moved past his.
Very well could be.
So I'm not even confident in saying that. All right. So other teams that might be looking for a new head coach, the Jacksonville Jaguars makes sense as a.
Of course. Just because Doug Marrone has kind of been there for a while, and we don't.
You talk about picks and capital.
You want to talk about a team that has a lot? You want to talk about a team that might want to just take this whole thing in a new direction?
Yeah.
You do it with the head coach. I mean, you would, because you would get a new head coach in, you'd let him get his guys in, you would let him have his input with the GM.
Yeah.
They got picks, man.
So if you're Eric Bieniemy, is there anywhere? Where's your favorite spot?
Jacksonville is my job.
Jacksonville is your job if you're Eric Bieniemy.
Yes.
Man, the problem with that is Jacksonville. The aspect that I would be afraid of is Jacksonville's culture in general, from the top down, has been so bad for so many years.
Which is why
I'm very nervous about
Pat
that.
Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, all of his team around him have come out and said how good he is about building a culture.
Yeah.
I think if there's one thing that you need in Jacksonville, they have an eye for talent.
Yeah, they can find talent. Get a guy who can make players happy, who can keep them happy, and gel together as a team. And that's what can get Jacksonville back on top. And I think they, out of all the bottom dwellers of the league, they're the ones who can have the quickest flip around. Yeah, I think the Texans are going to take 2 to 3 years right now.
Yeah. The other problem with the Texans...
The Jets is going to be longer than that.
Yeah, but for the Texans, the other problem is, and it's kind of a weird problem, but your quarterback's going to win you 5 or 6 games. Like, guaranteed. They're kind of in this weird like area where they're not going to be good enough with the talent they have right now. They need a lot of talent to be a legitimate contender, I would argue.
You said the Texans, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the Texans.
Yeah, right. And the problem is you don't even have your picks depending on how he does.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So even if they had their picks, look, I have a wet dream that they just absolutely bottom out and I get my number 1 pick for my Dolphins because I'm a Dolphins fan. But they're going to win 5 or 6 games this year.
Yeah,
Deshaun Watson's gonna just take over unless Deshaun gets hurt. They're winning 5 or 6 games.
Well, and one really good point that you had was the grueling schedule.
Yeah,
I mean this is something that going into with Bill O'Brien or that's with whoever
that's where we're going to go next. I forgot about that.
Is that I mean it's ugly no matter which way you cut it. You know.
Listen, we talked about it, I think, first or second week of the year where we talked about their schedule. Look, so they do have Jacksonville, right? And then I think they get a bye, or no, their bye, or, man, I don't know when their bye is. Okay, it doesn't matter. Their bye is after the Packers. So they play the Titans in week 5. Then they play the Packers in week 6. And then they get a bye, and then they get the Jacksonville Jaguars again. Those are the next 4 games. They might beat Jacksonville twice. But again, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Jacksonville surprised them and won a game. But they're not beating the Titans or Packers. I don't think.
That on the next little stretch, man. It doesn't get any prettier when you go to the Browns and the Patriots. You get a little cushion of a game with the Lions, but Matt Stafford and them guys, they can ball, and they've shown that. They upset the Cardinals. They gave the Saints a run for their money.
That offense will eat the Texans' defense a lot.
There's an argument to be made there. And then they have the Colts twice still looming on the schedule. It's not pretty.
You get the other games. You get the Bears and the Bengals. Those are your next 2 easiest games, and you get the Titans again. That is a tough fucking schedule, man. Especially for this team. It's a tough schedule
when you don't have that good of a roster and you're in this upheaval of a coach process.
So if we just give them the games they should win. So I'll give them Jacksonville twice. I'll give them the Lions, and I'll give them the Bengals. That's 5 wins, and they could surprise you and win a game they're not supposed to win.
I'll let them split with the Colts just because history says.
So 6 wins. 6 wins is their best possible outcome. So picking 11 or 12 is right around where they're at. Yeah.
I mean, you'd be happy as a Dolphins fan. That gets you right around a 10 to 15 pick.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I want them to bottom out.
I can't blame you for that. It's going to be weird to see how we go with the coaching and the decisions to be made. I mean, like you said, it's not going to happen until the end of the year, and we'll have to see what happens with all the other vacancies. I don't think the Texans' job is that appealing, though.
Wow, I'm surprised. At the end of the day, I'm surprised, but that's okay.
Deshaun is a diamond.
Yeah.
He is a diamond sitting around a bunch of manure, though, man.
Yeah, you're right.
You're going to have to go in there, and you're going to have to say, pretty much the owner's going to have to give this coach time. Yeah. How about that?
Oh, of course.
They're willing to take the Carolina Panthers approach and give, Matt Rule.
See what the Dolphins did. Dolphins are in a good spot.
Give him the lineup, give him the time, because the first 2 years aren't going to be pretty.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. After that, you never know.
Yeah. I want a guy. Look, I mean, you're absolutely right. Look, so I don't love the Dolphins OC or DC right now very much, but I love Brian Flores because he brought a culture. And he has implemented a culture, and he's done it his way, and he's really connected with his team.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we're talking about a team that had no business winning 5 games, but they won 5 games last year.
Eric Bieniemy is the man for the job.
I think you're right. I think Eric Bieniemy would be a great, as long as he brings the culture. I don't even care about the play calling and shit like that.
That's why I lean towards the super, super dark horse after Bieniemy in Dabo.
Yeah.
Because it's a guy who can build a culture. It's a guy who cares about his players.
My issue with that is just Dabo's never going to leave Clemson. Why would he?
He has no reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason. Why would
he's on top of Everest? There's no other Everest. Why go try to climb another?
Yeah, Nick Saban's not leaving leaving Alabama for any job anywhere. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, why
you're on top of the highest mountain, don't go try to climb a small one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's probably a higher mountain if you can get to the Bill Belichick, chain. But I mean, he's in such a great spot right now. I mean, it's just impossible. All right, so we'll move on. Talk about a little bit of college, and then we'll go into our picks, right?
So this weekend is probably one of my favorite matchups, and I'm torn because I have a bet with you. It is a $50 bet that I have Clemson and Ohio State winning this entire college football playoff. John has the crowd. But Clemson has their toughest matchup this year, coming with a De'Aaron King-led Miami. I do think the U is back, and
it's going to be kind of interesting to see how it goes. Trevor Lawrence is playing out of his mind right now. That offense is firing on all cylinders. I think it's going to be a game that they win. I do think Derek King's going to give him some fits, though, early on.
Yeah.
That's the highlight. Last week's highlight game, I'll cover it briefly in Auburn and Georgia. There's a reason I'm covering it briefly. Yeah. Is because it wasn't pretty.
No, it wasn't pretty. You owe a shot for that.
I owe a shot?
Yeah, you bet me a 1 to 5 shot during the game that they come back.
I did. Okay, I owe a shot for that. I'm sorry. I also paid up another shot on Jacksonville State, Florida State, which if you keep up with us a lot on last week's pod, I bet on Jacksonville State, and they were winning. For a minute, they gave Florida State a scare. But back to the Auburn game, it kind of just let me know where our year stands as a whole. We still got to see Chad Morris work with some Bo Nix more, get him more developed, because Bo has a tendency just to roll out to the right just because they snap the ball. I don't know. He gets happy feet and just wants to just runs. And at times it worked because our O-line is really bad. We are one of the only teams in the SEC that has a 2-star starting at offensive line.
God.
You can't really do that when you're Auburn, right?
Yeah, no, you can't.
I mean, you're Auburn. You're a huge powerhouse. You're supposed to be up there in the top 5 SEC schools, and you have a 2-star starting at right guard who's getting his butt kicked every single play.
Every play, yeah.
It's part of it. When you play the big dogs like Georgia, Bama, LSU, Florida, those guys, it's going to show. Oh, yeah. When you play Kentucky, Ole Miss, and all those other middle guys, it's going to be a ballgame. We'll see what happens. You know, the road going forward, I don't know. I look for us to get some dubs here and there. I think this game told me way more about us and Auburn than it did about Georgia.
Yeah, we don't know what Georgia is yet. I'm not convinced one way or the other.
Yeah.
Granted, I didn't watch a whole lot of that game. I'm not going to lie about that.
They controlled the game through the trenches. They ran the ball down our throats, and they let a third-string quarterback outshine our 5-star.
Is there anywhere else you want to go from last week as far as what happened?
SEC-wise, Florida and Alabama look like they're going to be the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma. Y'all want to pump the brakes a little bit, man. You're 0-2 in Big 12 play.
Yeah, it's weird. First time in a long time, right?
Yeah, first time in almost 20 years, I would guess. I don't know off the top of my head.
So this is Lincoln Riley's first chance to really develop talent. And granted, he's a freshman. We all need to pump the brakes on just shitting on him after losing 2 games.
He had way too much hype on his shoulders.
Way too much hype. Nobody can. I mean, short of like a LeBron James level, matching the amount of hype that he had. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well, people were already throwing his name in the Heisman consideration.
Yeah, he hadn't played
just because of the offense and the coach around him.
Yeah,
you just got to chill on it. He's shown talent. He's able to make the throws.
I think the other part of it this was the COVID season. Yeah, the teams that had a bona fide player starting in a good system, they're going to do a little bit better than teams that had a lot of uproar. But you still have a quarterback coming into a new system for him. You know what I mean? Same with like Florida State. It looks terrible the first couple of weeks. Well, yeah, it's a new coach. The quarterback was never been good.
You're pretty much getting what you got last year, which wasn't good, and it's worse because of the less practice time.
So you can make those connections there. So let's give him a little bit of a breather, but at the same time, you're right. The hype, we should have known coming in. The hype was a little too high.
Here's a guy that I'll talk about with hype, and it is Matt Miller's number 2 quarterback, which blows my mind. I didn't know he got moved up to number 2. Mm-hmm. This is Trey Lance out of North Dakota State University, and I really like Trey Lance. This is a 6'4", 220-pound body frame. He is solid. He is a good quarterback, but is he worthy of number 2 quarterback? That is in front of Justin Fields.
Yeah, that's great. Look, so I mean, you know kind of what I've said about Justin Fields, where I'm not 100% convinced he's a bona fide top 5. So, and granted, look, that's not saying a whole lot. That's based on limited, like I haven't studied Justin Fields yet, so I'm not going to sit here and say one way or the other. I'm going to say either of these guys. So I don't know where he should be based on my board. But I know that it's very, very risky to sit down and say in October that a dude from
North Dakota State,
FCS school hasn't really played anybody ever that came out and played one game against one team and now he's done for the year. Super weird situation. We actually talked about this a couple weeks ago on the pod where it's like, what is the point of coming out? Who did they play? They played nobody, right?
Oh man, I can't even tell you the name. I'm serious.
I'm gonna look it up, but I mean, it's one of those weird things. Like you didn't show anything. He didn't prove anything to anybody at playing this no-name team. Super weird. Is he better? I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a crazy year anyway. Well,
I like Trey Lance a lot. His athletic ability pops off the charts. The problem with having Carson Wentz, North Dakota State quarterback. Yeah. We got to see him for 4 years. We got to see the championships. We got to see the records, all these accolades that came in, and you have a lot of film.
Yeah.
We got to go 2 years ago to even look at Trey Lance film, and in this one game, he popped. He did good. He ran the ball for over 150 yards.
Yeah, against Central Arkansas.
And the problem is, in playing Central Arkansas, when you're able to get all these rushing yards against FCS opponents, that's the thing, is that these physical abilities will really stand out in FCS schools. It's a lot of times like Cam Newton going to junior college. He's going to kick ass.
Yeah.
But when you actually go and play these legitimate guys in the FBS level,
it's very difficult
in the NFL level, are you willing as a GM to take that's your job, take your job and take Trey Lance with a top 15 pick? Listen, he looks really good at times.
Yeah.
He threw the ball.
Well, he looks really good at all times because he's playing a great.
Well, he does.
He's
and
playing against bad
2 years ago, and he was able to get a little bit more built on his.
Now he's a sophomore.
He's coming out.
That's the craziest thing to me, is the fact that we're not talking about a Carson Wentz that spent 4 years in Dakota State. We're talking about a dude who's in year 2 of his college career.
We have 1 year of film on him.
Yeah, exactly. One game into his second year of college film, saying, yeah, I've done enough. I should be a top 10 pick. And everyone's gonna go. I just think there's, like, we just talked about the overhype for Spencer Rattler. Let's cool off on the overhype of Trey Lance. We don't know anything. Now, granted, he can go to the combine and kill the combine, and he can go do it.
And he will.
And he will. He's going to look great in shorts. And at the end of the day, he'll probably will be that top 10 pick based on the measurables and a team that thinks they can develop him, and that's fine. I'll probably love him because I'm a big fan of measurables. Like, I get that. But, man, it's pump the fucking brakes. I mean, there's no way in October you can say he's the second best quarterback coming out of the draft. That's just ridiculous.
It's disrespectful to Justin Fields. He is a great talent. Justin Fields is going to be a good quarterback. Keep Trey Lance at your 3. He's at my 3. And that's just looking at it, and I'm going to delve into it, a lot more after we see the way the Big Ten shapes out this year.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of football.
I need to see a lot more.
Also, Kyle Trask is doing really damn good at Florida right now, and he's at least eyebrow-raising attention.
Yeah.
Depending on who you play. I don't know where Trey Lance is going to go. I don't know what it's going to be. He's a physical body. He has a really big arm. He's able to absolutely truck some linebackers and corners at the FCS level.
The FCS
I'm telling you, man, when you have a 6'5" Myles Garrett staring down your ass who's just as fast as you, and that's on the D-line. Stuff doesn't work out the exact same way. I don't know how it's going to go. I like Trey Lance. I'm not going to be a Trey Lance hater at all. I'm going to be for him.
We'll see what happens.
I saw an Indianapolis Colts scout at the game, so that's one thing to keep an eye on.
They're going to be looking for a quarterback because that's the last thing I want to say.
Jacob Eason's the guy.
Yeah, I want to say this before because we're going to move on to picks, right?
Yeah,
Are you good to go picks? The Bears-Colts game was the most brutal game I think I've ever watched in the NFL. Like, so fucking difficult to watch because it was like watching 2 college quarterbacks playing in the NFL. Like 2 quarterbers that couldn't hit the broadside of the bar.
All the way.
Dude, Philip, he can't throw past 15 yards, man. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Listen, I have been on a fucking roller coaster with Philip Rivers. End of the season, I was out on him. I was done. And then I looked at this team and I was like, man, he's going to have a great wall around him. He's going to have, he's going to have weapons. He's going to be able to get the ball to his running backs and tight ends and receivers. And he's done well enough, but he is not a guy who will win you games when the Colts are in a bad spot. He just isn't. He's not a guy who will go down the field when the defense has to.
He won me money, man. At the end of the day, that's the one game that I bet on Bovada.
Okay,
and he won me my money,
Look,
and it wasn't pretty.
He beat the Bears. He beat the Bears and Nick Foles, who looked just as bad, if not worse. Nick Foles was not better. I'm sorry. After 1 week, Nick Foles has not done anything that is better than
So you're saying
Trubisky.
if we're looking at imposters here, these are 2, 3-1 teams. They are the outlier compared to the rest of the NFL.
The Bears are an absolute imposter. I'm not sure about the Colts because the Colts defense is legit and their offensive line is really good and they have a good running game. So you can get pretty far with that. And then you have a quarterback that's not stupid, right? So I'm not going to say the Colts are imposters. I just don't enjoy watching the quarterback throw the football for the Colts.
Philip Rivers can't win you games, but he's not going to lose his best not to lose games.
Exactly, yeah. If he's in a bad spot, he might lose you games. But for the Bears, absolute imposters. Okay. Their defense is okay. Their defense is good. It's above average. It's top 15 in the NFL. Great. But you're a running back in David Montgomery. Either you don't want to run him or you just don't want to be a running team. I don't know what it is, but they don't stick with the run enough for David Montgomery to be effective. He's not just like this, top 5 guys. It kills me. Yeah, it's very, very frustrating to watch the offense, try to play football. That's another team. The Bears should absolutely cut ties with Nagy. I mean, that's another spot that we should have mentioned in that segment.
That's one that I think a lot of people may not agree with.
Look, I'm sorry. I don't get it. Look, they should not have beaten the Lions week 1. They beat the Giants week 2, fine. And then week 3, who did they not deserve? Oh, they beat the Falcons, and they were down 16 points in the fourth quarter,
Trust
something
me,
like
bro,
that.
As a Vikings fan, I want that schedule because we're 3-0.
Yeah, and the Bears are a 1-3 football team pretending to be 3-1. They're not a good football team. And I think, we talked about last week where, this is a 3-0 team switching quarterbacks. You don't see that very often. Well, it does make sense in the sense that they shouldn't be 3-1. They're lucky as hell to fucking have won those 2 games.
Well, that lets you know that if you're swapping your quarterback at 3-0.
Yeah, they
also,
know
this is
wrong.
another thing that goes into the fold against Trubisky is that this is a limited time with Nick Foles. I mean, it took a while to bring him into the system, and with COVID, it's so many less practices. You don't have the familiarity with your team.
Yeah.
And he got the job after being 3-0.
Yeah.
That's the last thing you think would happen. That says
it's
how
crazy.
little
It's crazy.
Nagy trusts.
Yeah, look, Nick Foles,
Trubisky.
the ultimate backup quarterback, but don't ask him to be a starter. The ultimate backup quarterback, but I'm not sitting here. I think he's a backup quarterback too. It's 2 backup quarterbacks trying to play football for the Bears. And if you're in that situation, you don't have any quarterback. You're a bad football team, and Matt Nagy is a terrible offensive coordinator in my opinion.
Man, well, let's take that bad football team into this week's picks. We have the Buccaneers going to Chicago.
Oh God!
And the Bucs are a 5.5-point favorite. I took the Bucs. I took the Bucs with the spread at 5.5, and I have the over. Pick. The over is set at 44. So I mean,
yeah. I do have the Bucs.
You had to have given away your pick. Yeah.
The Bears covering the spread.
What?
5.5. Yeah.
Defend it.
Can't
defend it. Defend it or change it.
Oh God, I don't know. I just feel like 6 points is a lot for the Bucs. I don't know. I mean,
why? Listen, Tom Brady was able to throw a pick 6 and still
they were able to come back.
5 touchdowns, no Chris Godwin.
That's the thing. I know Chris Godwin's out. I know Mike Evans is going to be playing on one leg. Oh God, that's tough.
OJ Howard is done for the year, unfortunately.
I'm taking the Bears to cover the spread.
That's
5.5.
If you have a feeling about it, you take
the Bears defense is better than the Chargers defense, and I know you can't compare.
Wipe your ass before you're done taking a shit on them, though.
I swear.
You just did.
I know.
You just did.
Oh man. All right. So here's the honest truth. I think. You're right. The Bucs are gonna win this. Are gonna destroy them.
Listen, Bovada is geniuses when it comes to where they place their lines.
They're pissing me off.
They put it at 5.5, man. I think you got to take Tom Brady with that.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bucs.
That's one of those things I'm not going to lock, but the Bucs are winning this game.
Yeah, I'm taking the under. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I really do. You know what? That's why I'm going back to the Bears.
Why ugly though? What's wrong with the Bucs? Why don't you like them?
I think it's going to be an ugly game in the sense that it's going to be like a 17-13 type of game.
But that goes into my point. Why don't you like the Bucs?
I don't dislike the Bucs. I actually think Tom Brady's been playing really fucking well lately.
5 touchdowns.
Yeah, 5 touchdowns to 5 different receivers. I mean, look, he looks like a different Tom Brady. He does not look like the Tom Brady that played quarterback for the Patriots the past 2 years. He looks 5 years younger. He is standing in the pocket. He's actually doing it better this week than he did week 1. So it's really awesome to see. He still has the deep ball. He still has the zip on the ball. All these times where I've kind of shit on him for saying that he doesn't have it anymore, and he's not the same guy that he was when he was 31. I'll stand by that. That's always going to be the case for a 42-year-old quarterback. But man, I mean, he's light years ahead of Drew Brees in a similar situation.
I mean, the more continuity that he gets with this team and this offense.
I mean, look, he has a good offensive line. I just think this is going to be a grinding out football game. I think the Bucs defensively do match up pretty well against the Bears defensively match up pretty well against the Bucs, and then I do think the Bucs defensively match up awesome against the Bears. I mean, like their defensive line is going to absolutely crush, and I mean, the only thing you're really worried about is Allen Robinson, with maybe a couple jump balls here and there. I don't know. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I'm going back to what I said. I think the Bears are going to cover the spread. I don't feel good about that. I don't like this game at all. I might not even watch this game. I don't know. This is just
damn.
This is I don't
Carry
know.
on to the next one.
Makes me dirty. I don't know. Jags go against the Texans, and this is where I'm going to give you the bet I was thinking about during the game. Give me 3 points with the Jags. Give me 2.5 points with the Jags. So the Texans win by 3. You win.
Listen, man. I really want to take that bet, but the problem is I can already see the headlines now. Bill O'Brien fired, 0-4. Texans win their first game, they come out swinging. Somehow that's just how this thing is going to line up.
So you agree? So you would take that bet? I'm saying I'm taking the Jags with.
Oh, I thought you. Okay, yeah, take it. Yeah,
yeah.
Right.
So
Texans win.
Yeah, the Texans are favored by 6 points in this game.
Yeah,
I'm saying I will take the. I'm giving. Yeah, I thought I was giving you kind of a good deal.
I thought you wanted more of a cushion than the 6. I was like, bro,
no. The Texans are favored by 6. I'm taking the Jags to either. I'm taking the Texans. I'm taking the Jags. Yeah. I'm taking
Jags to win.
Yeah, I think the Jags win, but I'm getting 2.5 points. Is that fair?
That's fine. Okay. 28-27, I still lose. And that's knowing the way that our bets have gone. That's probably how it's going to happen. But that's fine.
Do you want to negotiate on that?
Totally fine.
So I feel like I'm giving you a good one.
You are.
The Texans are probably better than the Jags.
Because I think that Deshaun is going to...
Deshaun is... we compared the Jags to the Texans roster, but that quarterback position is a great equalizer.
Well, and the Texans are almost due for one.
Oh,
listen, they played a good game against the Vikings. It really wasn't that bad. There was some areas where they could have improved early on. Yeah. But Deshaun was able to keep them in that.
Oh, of course.
Vikings are better than the Jags. Deshaun's going to be able to take care of the Jags. So, yeah, there we go. 3-shot bet.
3-shot bet. I'll take the Jags, 2.5. All right, so let's talk about the real line.
The Jags covering the spread, though.
I said, let's talk about the real line. I do have the Texans winning, Jags covering 6 points. 6 points is the real line on Bovada. We are talking about our personal bet between us, so just want to keep that clear. 54.5 points is the over-under. I do think it hits the over. I think this is going to be a high-scoring 30, 33, 31 type of game.
I took the under based on the fact that if I have the Texans winning and I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Kind of ugly game.
You think it's going to be an ugly game? That's totally fair. Anything else? We talked about it a good bit before the bet.
We already grinded that one out.
Yeah, we'll move on to Raiders and Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 13 points in this game. They are at home.
It's a hard-to-touch line.
56 point over-under. I'm taking the Chiefs. I think the Raiders keep it within 2 touchdowns. I really do. I'm taking the Raiders to keep it closer than normal, and look, I think there's a good chance I'll get bailed out by a meaningless, last, fourth quarter touchdown that doesn't mean anything that makes it like a 10-point game instead of a 17-point game. That could absolutely happen. But yeah, I'll take that. I do think it's going to be the over. I think the Raiders are probably get 24. Chiefs could get into the 40s, honestly, if they wanted to.
Yeah, I'm looking at this one as like a 31-17 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I have the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs covering. But I mean,
it's close. Yeah.
It's going to be really close right there. Josh Jacobs has been sputtering out. And fantasy-wise, I bet you're a little worried. Those of you who were able to sell him off of that Week 1 absolute 3-touchdown monster game high.
Bought him off that too.
Kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. I have him in one league, and I don't know what to look at it because I think the Chiefs are a very elite franchise. They're a team that is going to be able to lock down and give Derek Carr some fits.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things, man. Discrepancy on organizations. Chiefs are going to take this one.
Yeah.
They're going to run with it. Especially after coming out and kind of laying an egg against the Patriots in a lot of ways.
Oh, you thought they laid an egg? I thought they played well.
Bro, up until halftime, if Brian Hoyer is able to Brian Hoyer is able to stand on the same field as the best quarterback in the league right now and keep it within
in one half.
That's what I'm saying, in one half.
Yeah, but a lot of that is, the Patriots defense is really fucking good. That's also with
Brian Hoyer trying to lose the game.
Yeah, I think
there's a lot of other variables that go into it.
Yeah.
That's why I think Pat Mahomes is going to be let loose now.
Okay. No, because totally fair point.
The Pats D kept him in check for so long. Whenever they get out on this game, man,
it's going to be a fun one.
It's on.
All right. We'll move on to the next one here.
Yeah, Bengals and Ravens. We have another 13-point line. The Ravens are favored by 13. Over-under is set at 51. And I have the Ravens on the spread and the over. I think it's going to be a hell of a sad day for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I don't see how this isn't a cover. I think this is one of those, like I said, the over, right? I took the over at 51. That's only because I think the Ravens hang up 38 and the Bengals maybe get 14 points.
Yeah.
38, 40. Yeah, so I would need 13 points to hit that over.
Ravens
I feel
defense
pretty
is
good
damn
about that.
good, man. I don't know. We can't lock a 13, though. Can we?
I would. I would in this matchup against a Bengals team that, honestly, look, I think this would be more if the Bengals hadn't won last week. So I think this is a little bit of recency bias with the Bengals having, with the Ravens, and that Chiefs-Ravens game still being in some people's mind. I think this line should be 17. I really do. So I think the line is off enough, in my opinion, to where I would lock it. If you don't want to lock it, I totally respect that.
Lock it.
Lock it? All right, we'll lock it.
Because there is no way that I see that this game plays out. Even if Joe Burrow is somehow able to get around the bad offensive line versus the Ravens' elite defense all around, you still have a shootout in which the Ravens win.
Week.
That's what it's just going to be bad, man. If you're one of those guys unfortunate enough to where you have to start him, don't.
Yeah, and I don't think you're in like a
someone in our league who did it.
To start Joe Burrow?
Yeah, last week.
Last week wasn't a bad one. You start him this week, you're in a weird spot.
you're in a weird spot.
All right, so next game is Panthers-Falcons. I think this line is totally off. Oh, wow, we disagree. Wow, okay. Falcons are favored by 2.5 points. I'm taking the Panthers to win this game and to cover. So this is the first game we disagree on straight up, right? So I'm going to highlight that. Wow, I'm kind of surprised. Give me your reasoning. Where are you at with this?
The Falcons have had a lot of misfortune go their way, man.
Yeah.
They have too many weapons as to where. Tell me who can stop Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, and Russell Gage right now.
They're not using them.
Trust me, this is.
I think this is a shootout. I really do.
Ineptitude on the Falcons' part by not utilizing their weapons, bro.
I think this is a shootout. I agree with that.
The Falcons got to get the stub, man. That's why I have it at that, because if not, Dan Quinn. God, I don't know how you still have a job, man. Man,
Falcons have done nothing to prove that they can win this game. Panthers have played really well. I mean, their defense has shown up a little bit more than I expected to.
I think the Falcons have played some tough games.
The Falcons have had a tough schedule too. That's absolutely fair. I think the Panthers being favored in this game is a little weird to me. This is obviously one of those, like, this is a division matchup where weird shit gets weird in division matchups all the time. I'm taking the Panthers to win this game because I think offensively the Panthers have a lot in the tank. I mean, Mike Davis is showing that he can fill in pretty well for a Christian McCaffrey. They're not even utilizing DJ Moore. I still think that DJ Moore game is coming. I could be wrong. 4 weeks in a row where it just has not hit. I was dead wrong about Robbie Anderson. He is an absolute awesome target for
they're using him, man.
For Bridgewater. Yeah, they're using him really well. Curtis Samuel is getting in there as the third receiver. I think the Panthers win this game. I think the Panthers obviously cover the spread because they're not favored here, and I do think it's an over. A 53.5. I do think it's over. I think this is a true shootout, like I was expecting Monday night to be, but it wasn't. I think this is going to be. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch.
I think it's going to be fun. I think the Falcons should be able to take care of this, though.
Yeah, totally fair. Would you consider a coin flip or no?
Listen, it's a coin flip.
It is a little bit.
There's a few games where because I didn't give the Falcons a fighting chance in the Packers. I think we kind of knew what was happening there. Yeah. But, I mean, go back, man. They were a few plays away from blowing out the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, they were.
I don't think that highly of the Dallas Cowboys anymore. Mm. But still, they've had some misfortune go their way. They're due for something.
Totally fair. Next one here, we do not have a line on Bovada right now as of recording this because it's the Broncos-Patriots. The reason there's no line is they're not going to bring out a line until they know what the deal with Cam Newton is.
There's so many different ways this game can go.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just who we think is going to win. Broncos-Patriots. I do think the Patriots win this game.
Patriots.
Yeah, so we're taking the Patriots, obviously.
I might change it later. No, I'm not even going to change it no matter what happens.
Yeah.
It only gets better if Cam comes.
We reserve the right to change it up, especially if something big happens. If nothing really changes with the team, we usually don't change it. But if something big happens, we'll change it. And there's no big deal there. Rams, Washington. Another game, 7.5 point. Washington is, excuse me, I'm messing up. The Rams are favored by 7.5 points. This is a 45.5 over-under. I think the Rams are going to crush Washington. I think Rams are just the better football team. But, man, I thought that last week, and the Rams barely covered against the Giants. Actually, did they cover? They might not have. But it was a lot closer, kind of weird game against the Giants. But at the end of the day, Washington, I don't think – I think Daniel Jones is better than help me out.
Jared Goff?
No, I'm talking about Washington.
Oh,
Washington.
Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins. I lost
the
name.
You were about to scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, I was like, Daniel Jones
better than Jared Goff.
I'm comparing who the Rams played last week against the Giants versus Washington this week. Daniel Jones is better than the Giants are better than Washington. We'll leave it at that. Giants better than Washington. Rams are going to have a better game against Washington this week, and I know that's kind of a hard way to compare football. I hate doing that, but there's just nothing I can look at Washington and say, oh, they have that. There's nothing there. They have Antonio Gibson. They don't really utilize him as well as they should.
Hey, they did this past week.
He had one big play through the
20-something points, man.
Yeah. He had one big play through the air that ended up in the touchdown. But as far as I want him to get 25 touches a game.
Listen, I really think I think he's the clear-cut favorite in that backfield now.
Oh yeah,
and I think he's one of those guys flex option-wise fantasy. You can start to look at a plug and play.
Oh yeah, he is.
This is not the week for that though, because the Rams do have a really good defense. Yep. Their offense as a whole, I think this is one of those games where they're going to be able to pounce up early on Washington, and they are going to be totally content with a Sean McVay rushing attack, just killing it and letting Aaron Donald kill Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, I still think this hits the
Rams
over.
Rams win. Rams cover. Under.
You're taking the under. I'll take the over. That's fine. How do you feel about a lock here? 7.5 is a lot. That 7 number is hard because 7 is kind of a key number in football games. A lot of games ended 7-3 and
I'm gonna say no.
You say no?
As much as I just talked up the Rams with their close call with the Giants.
Scary.
It's just weird because it's like, man, that's a
we
team
value our locks a lot. We do. We want our locks to hit.
I just don't want to carefully toss it around,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. No, I respect that.
I'll move on to a game. We don't have a line on from Bovada yet because of the COVID stuff. This is the Bills and the Titans, and I know we're not locking this one. Mm-hmm. We agree on it, though. We both have the Bills. Yeah. Hometown fans are probably going to be upset with us a little bit here.
It's okay. I think the Bills win this game. If the game happens, obviously COVID takes this game as questionable. As far as the way I think this game plays out, I really think. I think it's going to be a great game. I think this is a coin flip football game. I think the Bills win this mainly because the Titans are coming off a COVID scare. Their operations open on Wednesday. The game is presumably on Sunday. They only have a couple weeks. You travel on Saturday. You have 3 days to practice.
3 days to get ready for the 4-0 Bills with an MVP candidate in Josh Allen. Yeah. It's Russell right now, but Russell kind of had a little bit of a weird week. It wasn't a bad week for him. But Josh Allen is firing, man, and I'm telling you, they're going to get this game.
Coming off a bye that wasn't scheduled, we have no idea what these teams were or what these players were doing. We have no idea how the coaching staff handled this because it's such an unusual situation to have to handle. So, I think the Bills win this game pretty handedly. I think, this would be one that I would look at later in the week once we get confirmation this game is happening and Bovada puts up some odds for it. It would not surprise me if this is closer than it should be. Like they give the Texans, or the Titans, a team that is 3-0, that is a good football team. If they make this like a 3-point spread, I'll take the Bills.
That's what it'll be.
Yeah. If it's a 3-point spread,
no way it can be any more than that. It's a 3-0 Titans.
Yeah, but
I was looking at the line. I don't care what the line's at. I'm taking the under almost. I think this is a game where it's going to be a defensive grind out.
Really?
Typically, when you go back, I think it was either last year or maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's a surprise.
Bills Titans played each other, man, and it was this ugly slugfest where it was something controlled through the ground game, and that's something that both of these teams really like doing. Yeah. Buffalo's kind of flipped the script on that. That's one of the things that's opened up with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, so they're willing to pass it a little bit more. But Bills are going to control this game, man. Yeah,
I like that take. I don't know if I agree with it, but I think it's a really good point.
Under. It's got to be in the 40-point range.
Fair enough.
Taking the under.
Yeah, if I would take the under if it's in the 50s. I wouldn't expect the line to be. I would expect the line to be like 49. That's probably where I would put the line.
Under.
You'll take the under.
That's my point. Yeah.
Okay. So Cardinals and Jets are next up. This is a get right game. In my opinion, this is a get right game for the Cardinals. Jets have nothing in the tank. They have. They're easily the worst team in football in my opinion. Injuries have accounted for that. So don't jump down our throats, Jets fan. But right now, worst team in the NFL is the Jets.
Fan. Huh? Find a Jets fan. I can't met y'all. I can't met you.
The Cardinals are favored by 7 points. The line is 47 point over under. I'm taking the Cardinals to win this game to cover. I think Kyler Murray kind of drank the Kool-Aid the first 2 weeks, man. Kyler Murray was looking like on fire, awesome. Yours truly did project that. And then he's cooled off a little bit. He hasn't looked great the past 2 weeks, especially 2 weeks ago when he threw 3 picks against the Lions and ended up losing that game for his team. And then last week, didn't look great either. I think this is gonna be a Cardinals get right game. I think Kyler Murray, settles down and says, "Fuck it, man. I'm still a second year dude. I have to prove it every single week. I can't just go out there and think I'm gonna be awesome." And with the Jets, regardless, he's gonna go out there and be awesome.
And that's the whole point with the Jets. And no matter what, I think Kyler's gonna eat. If you're kind of torn between who to start quarterback wise, it's Kyler. I think he is probably
the DFS obvious pick.
He is the guy of the week. They're going to cover. They're going to win. And I have the over just because I think this is the Cardinals' true get-right game. I think they're ready to show back up and be like, man, we dropped the ball the last 2 weeks.
The reason I have the under is because I think this is like a 31-3 type of game.
Because the Jets just don't do that.
Or like a 28-3, something like that. So I could see that being the case. I am so fine to lock this. This feels like this I'm really confident about.
This is a confident lock, yes.
Yeah, I feel good about that. I just don't see the Jets really competing. I just don't.
That's fine. While you're typing that, I'll move on to the next one. We have the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the current number 1 seed in the NFC East with a record of 1-2-1.
Crazy.
Someone's got to win it. I know none of y'all don't want to, but someone's going to win it.
Yep.
Eagles Steelers. The line is the Steelers are a 7-point favorite. It is a 44-point over/under spread. I have the Steelers. I have the Steelers on the spread, and I have the over. I just think it's one of those things, man. Steelers are so good.
So good. We agree. I think this is a blowout. I don't see. Man, I thought, look, my only thing is I really thought the 49ers was going to be a blowout too. But, I mean, granted, the 49ers were playing a backup quarterback, so I should have probably taken that into account more. We both should have. We both had that lock there.
I'm not going to lock this. I won't because I can't lock against the Eagles after they proved us wrong last week. I just don't think we can do it.
That's fair. I would have. I will say that. I absolutely would have. But, I mean, that's why you're here, man. You gotta keep calm me down. I could have like 17 locks on.
Something about you hating on the Eagles, man. We got to be careful. We got to.
I have a lot of Eagles fans too. There's a couple. I know there's a couple people that watch this pod because I mean we're friends and probably still don't watch the pod. But I have a couple friends that are really close friends that are Eagles, and I haven't talked to them in the past couple weeks because I just don't want to piss them off. Like just leave it alone. But yeah, I agree. Steelers all the way. We'll leave it alone there. Dolphins 49ers, another game we do not have a line for because we don't know what's going on with the 49ers quarterback. Will Jimmy G be back? Will they have to play? It won't be Mullins. It'll be the other dude, the third stringer. I don't remember his name. The third round pick.
You put me down as the Fins.
I did.
Change it. I want the 49ers. Listen,
you were thinking about the
I had this weird feeling where it was like, man, Fitzmagic's always good for something.
He is.
He'll come out and he'll win a game you're not supposed to win, and this is a game.
Take the Dolphins, man. I want to beat you.
That's where I can't because we're so close in our picks. I just think it's one of those games where I just can't afford to lose it guessing on your Dolphins.
Hey, I'm going a little weird later on where I'm going to give you a chance to catch up with me. I agree. 49ers win this game. Dolphins just aren't as good. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
We'll move on. Colts Browns. Colts are favored by 1.5. Sorry, I was struggling here. Oh, we do disagree. Awesome. Give me your take. What are you thinking?
Cleveland, man, they were firing on all cylinders last week. Yes, they were beating up on a bad Cowboys defense, and they almost let the Cowboys creep back into that.
Yeah.
But I do think that you're wearing the jersey, the player. I have the jersey. Odell, man, he had a coming out party. And this is the type of hype that we expected to see Odell. Odell is a top 5 talent, athletic ability, insanely gifted guy that I thought at the end of his career would go down as one of the best that we've seen. Far from over. And if this is a chance or a hint of what we should have been seeing from them, if they continually do this, because Baker didn't even throw him a touchdown once. It was Jarvis who threw him the touchdown, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns, I believe, on top of that.
He had one passing he had one more touchdown through the air and then a rushing touchdown, I believe. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was rushing. I didn't realize.
It was Jarvis who gave him the passing touchdown.
I remember that, yeah.
And the 50-yard run.
Yeah, I don't remember where he got the other touchdown, but it's okay, whatever.
Odell had a great game, and I don't know. I like him a lot, man. I think the Browns and Kevin Stefanski with their run attack is doing really good.
So I get that. I understand where you're coming from this. I actually think
you're just going to say the Colts are an overall better team.
No, it's not even that. I mean, we can go. I think this line is off. I think the Colts should be favored by more, but because the Browns came out and scored 49 points, almost 50 points against the Cowboys,
a little bit of hype there.
Yeah, it overhyped them. I think this is some recency bias. So I think this line is off. I really think the Colts should be favored by more here. I think the Colts are going to win this football game. I look at the Browns game last week and the great OBJ performance. I think it was more a product of what the Cowboys are than what the Browns are.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
When the Browns have high hopes, they don't do well either.
Yeah. So when I look at that game and like with OBJ, right? I think OBJ is a guy who I don't want to touch in fantasy because he's going to have 2 or 3 blow up games every year, right? And this was one of them. And I think his floor is so much lower because I mean he's on a Browns team where he might get 3 targets next week. He might get 2 targets. You know what I mean? They want to run the football. And granted, Kareem Hunt is now the starter now that Chubb is hurt. And I mean, look, if any team could afford to lose their starting running back, obviously they're not happy about it. Just as any team would be, but they could afford it because they do have Kareem Hunt there that can handle the load. And then their backup running back, I don't even remember his name, but he looks really good.
Demetrius Johnson is a guy
he looks like an awesome player.
Who is only owned in 2% of fantasy leagues. If you are hurting at the running back position, go get him, man.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked really good. So that was a great. I mean, look. So the Browns, I think we kind of know I feel like I know what the Browns are. I think this is going to be kind of a close game. I think at the end of the day, the Colts defense will be able to shut down the run game and in turn the pass game because I mean Xavier Rhodes has looked much better than I thought he was going to. their backfield in general, the defensive backfield for the Colts, I think will be able to handle Jarvis and Baker, or excuse me, Jarvis and OBJ. And at the end of the day, I'm kind of the point where I don't believe in Baker, man. I didn't think, look, they scored 49 points, and I not once watched that game and said, man, Baker looks great. Like, there was not one time where I was like, man, Baker is just on fucking fire today. It just felt like it was a lot of scheme type of plays, and it was the Cowboys being a really, really, really bad defense. So, I mean, shit, you want to talk about another team that might need to change head coach really quick. This could be a one and done year for McCarthy if it keeps going this way.
Oh, it shouldn't be a one and done year.
If it keeps going this way, you can't tell me it won't be.
Very well could be, because you have way too much talent and you're underperforming right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame McCarthy yet, though. I think there's a lot of other reasons on the defensive side of the ball, injuries included, that's going on.
Totally fair.
We'll bring it up to the Cowboys game, actually. Yeah. We have the New York Giants going to Dallas. Cowboys are a 10-point favorite after this abysmal performances that we've seen. 54-point line. Nevertheless, we agree unanimously. Yeah. Cowboys. I
feel dirty. I don't feel good about it. But yeah, we're taking the. I'm gonna get my take, and then I'll let you go. Really, my thing is the Cowboys can score on just about any defense. I mean, they've shown that they have an awesome offense, and they have no defense. But this is a great matchup for them because they're going up against a team that doesn't have a whole lot of offense to worry about. I mean, you're looking at Daniel Jones with very limited weapons and no run game really. So yeah, I think this is a game where the Cowboys should win it, and they should win it handily. I don't feel good about 10 points. I'm going to take the Cowboys to cover because I know, I mean, a touchdown of the Cowboys is nothing at this point. They score touchdowns like candy. I mean, it's so easy for them. They give it away too, though. So I don't know. I could easily see the Giants doing the same thing that they did against the Rams and just kind of sticking in there, staying with it. Actually, look, with where the Giants are right now, I'm actually kind of excited about them going in the next couple of years. I think they're a team that's really going to improve. Like, they need more talent. But I like the foundation that they have with their coaching staff. They're a gritty team that is not giving up I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if every single game was like, they could look like the Jets, I guess is what I'd say. And they don't. They look like a team that's fighting.
I'll say that I like it in Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I've seen promise out of him. There was a play last week's. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was a passing play, and every single receiver, tight end included, blocked.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, man. What do you expect Daniel Jones to do out there?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like what he's doing. It doesn't matter this week, though, because the Cowboys are an elite offense, and they're going to be able to get points on the board. I don't know what it is. Something ticks in Dak's head that whenever he's down 30 points, he needs to turn it up. But that's how it works. He threw for 500 last year.
The best garbage time quarterback of all time. I know you're talking about.
Fantasy-wise, man, I guess I was wrong. I'll eat some crow. Josh Allen is not as good. He's the number 2 fantasy quarterback compared to the number 1 in Dak right now.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that argument.
But Dak's got it in garbage time, so whatever. Man, I'll take it because I'll tell you who's the 4-0 team who's actually playing as a better quarterback right now.
You had the right as far as essence of the argument. I mean, nobody expected the Cowboys defense to be this fucking bad. Nobody expected Dak to need to throw for 500 yards a game and still lose. I mean, nobody. I mean,
but for this week against the Giants, Jason Garrett, I'm sorry, you little clap man. You're going to be losing this week, and Cowboys cover, and they take care of it.
Oh, I forgot about that storyline. Jason Garrett going back to see the Cowboys. Yeah. All right, this is the one where I'm a little crazy here. Vikings, Seahawks.
Thank you.
Seahawks are favored by 7 points, which is a totally fair line. 58-point over/under. I am taking the Vikings to win this game outright. I'm giving you a chance to catch up in the lead. I'm beating you by 1 score in our straight up comparison. This is the game where I'm probably gonna give it back.
Kind of a little jab, isn't it?
No,
because you're giving me a chance to catch up by betting on my team.
No, okay, sorry. I really wasn't. I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I really didn't. I didn't mean it like that. I'm trying to say I'm taking I'm going out on a limb and taking the team that is not expected to win this game. Is that fair?
You just made it worse.
I'm sorry. Okay, you got it.
By saying what you said.
I really wasn't trying to be like that.
We don't really travel well to the 12th man. Seattle is a team that's firing at all cylinders. I really like the Vikings. I love our team this year. I think we are a team that had the misfortune of, playing some really good teams. We have
and they play another one here.
Exactly, and it doesn't get better as it goes on. I was about to say it gets a little better, I guess, because we get the Bears and the Lions going up.
Yeah.
But I do have Seattle. I think Russell Wilson is the leading MVP candidate right now. And Seattle's just going to keep it going, man. My Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, I get that. You do have the Vikings coverage, so you do think it's going to be close.
Yeah,
right. So look, this is why I think the Vikings win. First of all, they play the Titans really, really close, and they were a couple plays away. They should have won that game. Honestly, yeah, I absolutely agree. Justin Jefferson, they have really 2 weeks in a row they have gotten him involved. Justin Jefferson, I really feel like is the missing piece for this offense that wasn't there the past 2 weeks, and I think those first 2 weeks games of the year may have been different. I'm not saying they definitely would have been, but I think they would have been more competitive either way if they had gotten him involved even more earlier than they did. Yeah. I think Justin Jefferson is the key here. I think the Seahawks.
He looks really good. Doesn't he?
Looks really good.
Yeah.
This Seahawks offense is the Seahawks defense is very, very beatable. I think this is a game where the Vikings are going to be able to play what they want to do on offense. And what that means is they're going to be able to run the ball a lot. They're going to be able to control the clock. They're going to be able to control the pace of the game. And they're going to be able to score every time they are controlling that game. Right? That's the key. All right. So the Vikings can sustain 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 play drives, long drives. They eat up 4 to 5 minutes of clock at a time, hopefully more. I mean, you do what if you do that, and then on defense, you just say, hey, we're not going to let you run the ball. Okay. And I know that kind of sounds crazy because the Seahawks don't really want to run the ball. They want to throw the ball. But I say you give Russell Wilson a ton of pressure. You force him to make decisions quick. And he's
still going to make plays.
He's going to make plays. This is going to be a high-scoring game. I do believe that. I think this is going to be. I took the under. I take that back. This should be the over. I don't know why I pressed under there. I'm taking the over on 58 points. This should be a high-scoring game. Force Russell Wilson to make decisions faster than he wants to. Don't let the deep ball develop. Give him a ton of pressure, and look, they're going to go down. They're going to score a lot of points, but I think the Vikings can control this game and can win this game in a really fun game to watch.
Hey, man, I'm glad you believe in my Vikes. I have the Hawks winning, though, pretty much out of principle, though, because every time I pick the Vikings, they lose. So pick the Hawks, but let's see some
I wasn't trying to jab you either. I really wasn't. I was just fucking with you.
That's why I'm going for the Vikings. We'll take it to Monday night with our last game. We had the Chargers taking on the Saints. Chargers and Justin Herbert are playing really well right now.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Despite that, the Saints are still a 7.5-point favorite, and I think the Saints haven't really been playing that well.
They haven't.
I have the Saints. I have the Saints covering, and I have the over. I just think it's a game where it's too much to ask.
Wow, you have the Saints covering. Okay. Wow, man.
Mike Thomas is coming back.
Mike Thomas is coming back. I'm taking the Saints. I'm taking the Chargers to cover at 7.5. Look, the Chargers looked great, and people that are going to look at the bottom line and say, "Oh, Chargers aren't playing very well. They've lost the last 2 games with Justin Herbert." I don't care. They played great.
Herbert's playing really well. That 60-yard deep ball that he had was a fucking drop.
You go down to the wire. You go to overtime against the Chiefs. That's a win for the Chargers that were picking number 5 in the draft last year.
Of course, yeah.
And then you go to Tampa Bay and you force Tom Brady to have a miraculous comeback with 5 touchdowns to 5 different receivers. Look, Tom Brady's going to be Tom Brady. He played awesome and he beat you. That's fine. You didn't outplay the GOAT, but he still played really well.
The 23-year-old competing with the 43-year-old.
Exactly. It was a good game. They played it close. It was a fight to the end. And look, it didn't go their way, but man, I mean, I think that's going to be a similar situation. We know what the Saints are. The Chargers know what the Saints are. The Chargers have the weapons to control Kamara. And I don't know about Mike Thomas. I think he is the X factor that's going to make the Saints team go. And I totally get where you're coming from with Michael Thomas. Their offense gets going the way it should.
Get back to normal.
They need to get back to normal. But yeah, I'm taking the Chargers here. I think they're going to cover. I'm taking the Chargers to cover. This could be a 7. The 7.5 is the key. If this was a 6.5 point spread, I probably would have taken the Saints. But that extra half point, I don't know what it is. I think it's gonna be a 7-point game.
Nevada's smart, bro. They know where
Nevada
they put the
is
line.
smart.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's all we got.
I think we got it covered.
Anything else you want to go?
No, that's it.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening on the podcast network. Thank you so much to Underdog Podcast Network for sponsoring us and supporting us. We really appreciate it. Peace out. We will see you next week. Awesome. Good time to go.